think we're live. Hold on one second. All right, there we go. Happy Monday, guys. Today is Monday, November 24th, and it is a special one because today makes 10 years. 10 years since I first opened my shop. I don't know if exactly 10 years, to be honest, because I didn't keep a lot of records of anything back then, but when I was scrolling back through my Facebook photos, the first picture I could find of my barbershop was November 24th of 2015. So we're gonna go off that as our official birthday. So it's been a journey. 10 years, 10 years of being a shop owner. I learned a lot. I've probably forgotten more than I've learned, to be honest. But it's been a fun journey. I'm excited to see what we can do in another 10 years. I feel like we came a long way. So we got a question here. Can you talk about 1099 commission barbershops? Yes, I can. What would you like to know? I think that most barbershops that I see that operate on 1099 are operating illegally. Um, I think that a lot of people want to have it both ways. They want to have the benefit of the control that you get with employees without the any of the tax burden. Um, I think that there's nothing wrong with having 1099 contractors as long as you treat them like contractors. So that is the key distinction. Here's a simple example, right? I have a videographer. He doesn't work for me. He's not an employee. He is a contractor. So he can come and go as he pleases. He comes up with the rates that he decides to charge me. I don't tell him how to make the video, what equipment to use, what a certain amount of time that he has to deliver the video in, and he can work for other people if he would like. Um, so that is the relationship that a contractor and a somebody who is the contractor is working with. That's the relationship that it should be. And unlike a lot of people on the internet, I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars speaking to actual attorneys who went to law school to learn these things. So just because a lot of barbershops operate illegally, and that's the way most people do it, doesn't necessarily mean that that's the way you should do it. I would encourage you to do what I did because I'm not a lawyer, but all this stuff is very easy to find on the internet. If you go to the IRS website, you can easily see what's okay and what's not okay. And some people, it's just the amount of ignorance in the barber industry is honestly, it's still scary to me. Because when I say it's illegal to treat people like employees and call them contractors, most people's initial response is, well, you have to have rules. I'm like, we're talking about two separate things here. You can absolutely have rules, but you can't break the law. Your rules, your contract is not above the law. That's actually the exact words that an attorney told me. Like you can have people sign a contract saying whatever you want, but your this is your contract. It's down here. It's worthless because the law is up here, right? You always go off what the law says. Um, so yeah, what's up, Camara? Um, yeah, I would be told to come in and when I could leave, which didn't sound right as a contractor. I mean, I'm not an attorney, but it sounds like you're being treated like an employee. So yeah, I would that's a red flag to me, man. There's not a lot of people with licenses here. Almost more in licensed shop. How do I fill my shop with people if they don't have paperwork? Should I wait even though I'll have to? Well, I'm a big fan of following the law. So if your choices are either wait or hire unlicensed people, I would absolutely wait. Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago now, 10 years ago to the day, I started my shop and I was by myself for a long time. I think I did it for 6 months, maybe more, by myself. So I was in the shop 7 days a week, usually about 10 hours a day by myself. And I did that for about 6 months until I started to get too busy to the point where I started to go crazy and I needed help. So that's when I started hiring. So I think if the options, if you don't, or it sounds right, like right now you don't have a lot of options. So one of the things that I talk about in my hiring course is, which is inside my community, is you want to have options when you're hiring, right? If you need a barber and you only have one person applying, like that's not a lot of options. So the key here is you want to generate a ton of applications so that you can be picky. So that's the ultimate position to be in as a barbershop owner, is if you can be super picky with the people you hire. If you're able to be picky, then you'll hire better people. And if you're able to generate a ton of applications, then you won't be desperate. Because even when you're not hiring, you can just put these people on a list, and whenever you are hiring, you reach out to them. Some people would have moved on and they would have found jobs, but you'd be surprised how many times somebody reaches out and applies with us, and I don't hire them. But then a few months later, I follow back up when we are hiring, and they're still interested. And they come work for us. So a lot of the stuff is, stuff that I cover in my hiring course inside my community. But the key is you want to be able to generate applications. If you can generate applications, then you can be picky. So if you're not getting a ton of people applying, that's the first problem I would solve. Which is just, this is just a marketing problem. You just got to get the word out more. When we are actively hiring, we're actually spending money on ads to get people to apply. Because if you think about it, like, how much is a barber worth to you as a barbershop owner? Tens of thousands of dollars a year, hundreds of thousands maybe. To me, I don't mind spending a few $1,000s to get one barber to make that back, right? So, and if you get really good at hiring or generating applications, then you don't have to, you hopefully will never be in a situation where you're desperate again. Because even when you're not hiring, we're not hiring right now, but people are still applying. Even though this is like a tough time of year to hire, it just really, just so you guys know, there's times of the year that are really tough to hire. We're in one right now. We're in November when I'm recording this. Good luck trying to find a barber right now, right? But I could tell you that just wait till January. January is like new year, new me. People are quitting their jobs. They're looking for a new shop to work at, and you'll probably find that come January you'll probably have more people applying than you do right now. So that's in like 6 weeks. So you're probably gonna have to get through the busy season with what you got right now if you're a barbershop owner. This is why you want to be proactive, right? And like, I staffed up 2 months ago, 3 months ago, right? So I'm a little bit counterintuitive. This is, I've learned a lot over my last 10 years in business, but I would say one of my biggest breakthroughs came this year when it was just hire earlier. If it makes sense for your business, everything that I say has a little asterisk next to it, which is do the math, talk to experts, make sure it makes sense for your business, right? But this is exactly what I did. I did the math and I was like, what if instead of waiting until we get to 85% booked, which is what I was doing, what if we hired at 75% booked? Did the math, and I was like, oh, we actually still make more money, even though our cost goes up. So that's what I started doing. And I started hiring people earlier, and then it turns out that that was a good decision for us. And now, when we're busy, we have every chair full. I have 16 barbers right now, which is awesome. You know, this is definitely the largest the team's ever been. But it wouldn't have gotten this large if I didn't have that one unlock earlier this year, which is, what if I just hired earlier? What if instead of waiting until we're overwhelmed with business and we're turning clients away, what if I just hired a little before that? Turns out that was a good idea. Because now that we're busy, we got plenty of help. We can handle anything that comes our way. And they're probably still going to turn people away, even with 16 barbers, but we'll be all right. And actually, I think next year we're going to try to get to, what was the number? 26. 26 is the goal for next year. What's one thing regards to the haircut, the products that you made more money per client? What's one thing regards to the haircut, the products? I don't understand your question. More money per client. Okay, so there's a few ways. Let me speak in generalities until I can get some clarification on your question. But there's a few ways you can make more money off the same client. You can either get them to come in more frequently, get them to spend more, or get them to stay longer. Yeah, I think those are the only three ways. So if we're not talking about getting any new clients, so if you could only keep all the clients you have right now, you weren't allowed to get any more, that's how I would make more money off the same amount of clients. Get them to come in more frequently, get them to spend more, or get them to stay longer. Now, let me talk about each one of those. So get them to come in more frequently. That's rebooking, right? A lot of barbers don't want to do rebooking, and they all have excuses, but it's one of the most powerful ways that you can get clients to come in more frequently. You can also get them on a membership, but that's a more advanced strategy. If you want to learn about memberships, I have a whole course on that in my community, but most of y'all probably aren't ready for memberships. Rebooking is free. Anybody can do rebooking. So you just get them to set up their next appointment before they leave. If you do that, then instead of stretching their haircut out, they come in when they're supposed to. So they come in more frequently throughout the year. The next thing was get them to spend more. So you upsell services. So instead of just a haircut, do you want a haircut and beard trim? Do you want a haircut and shampoo? Do you want a haircut and eyebrow trim? Haircut and waxing? Haircut and shave? Like, they're spending more per visit. And products are part of that. So if you're not selling products in your barbershop, you're missing out on money. It's faster than services too, because when you provide services, you are exchanging your time. So you have to spend time to do the service. You make more money, but there's a trade there. With a product, you don't have to trade your time, right? The cost though is the cost of the product you bought. So that product costs you $10, you sell it for $20, so the profit is $10. Right, so products are cool because it's one way you can make money without selling your time. And the last one is you get people to stay longer. So you retain them. You get them to come back instead of, somebody getting their haircut for 3 months and then leaving. You get them to come back for 3 years. And they spend way more money with you. So that's how you can get people to be worth more, to spend more, right? To make more money per client is you got to do one of those three things. How about hiring barbers and Cosmos straight out of school? Hiring them, but they are licensed, but they can't cut. Good question. So this is something that we actually have 2 people right now on our team that are fresh out of school. One's still in school, but he can't cut hair legally, so he's just working the front desk. So I think it's just a question of what your business is ready for right now, because I've gone back and forth on this throughout the years. So this is kind of how I would approach this question: is can you have somebody dedicated to stand there and watch them cut hair, and or be available if they need help? And that person is not cutting hair; they're just training. That they're just there to watch, right? So that means that you got to pay that person. This is what we do. We pay the person, the trainer, to just stand there and cut hair. We pay them extra too, because they're blocked out. They can't take any appointments, so they're not making money on tips or commission. So we pay them extra, and we're not making any money off the person that they're training, because they're usually not charging full price, and they're not, they're doing like one haircut an hour, so we're not making anything on them. So can your business handle the expense of that? If it can, then I would say that hiring barbers and cosmetologists straight out of school might be a good thing, because in the short term you make nothing, but long term, if you got the right person, then you can make them into a great barber. We've had great experiences with both. We've had great experiences with hiring experienced people, great experiences hiring new people. They can both work. It's just it depends on what your business can do, and what you need right now. Like if you're trying to grow fast, if you're trying to grow your barbershop fast, then you need experienced people. You need people that can just start, like, here's your chair, there's the computer, uh, maybe give them a few hours of training, and then they're good. They don't need like 6 months of training or whatever it might take to get somebody who's fresh out of school, right? So that's what you have to consider. If you're trying to grow fast, or you're losing money, right? You can't afford to wait 6 months for somebody to become profitable for you. Then you just need to go for experienced people. But if you can afford to be patient and pour into somebody, then the newer barbers fresh out of school, it might be a good strategy. I actually think that there's somewhere in the middle might be the right answer too, where there's like a ratio of like so many experienced people to so many new people. It's cool to have. I think most of my team is experienced. They came on board, they already knew how to cut hair, and then so now we just have like two newbies. So out of 16 barbers, 14 of them already had experience. So the ratio there is huge. Like they have this, they're just surrounded by experience. So that's kind of cool. So I think somewhere in the middle might be the right answer. Hopefully that was helpful for you. How do you track income, or how does your whole shop track your income? What do you mean? You mean, so we have a POS system that tracks everything. Is that what you're trying to say? You talking about the barber's income or the shop income? So we track both. Everything goes through our software though. So we see a sale comes in, it shows as shop revenue. We run payroll, and then we see down to the individual level what each barber generated in revenue, and then we pay them. We pay them out weekly, direct deposit. So that's how we track income. So all of our barbers are employees. They're W-2 employees. So we have a payroll software. We use Gusto. And everything goes through Zenati in terms of sales, and then it goes into Gusto, and then we pay out. We pay them out every week. That's how we track our income. I'm an employee too, so it's the same. It's same with me. So I get a W-2 at the end of the year, just like the barbers do. I get direct deposit just like the barbers do. Yeah, so we do hourly or commission, whichever's higher. But our barbers are employees. They're not contractors. So our pay structure is more expensive than somebody who has a 1099, because we have to take into account the taxes and the benefits, and we have, what is it, unemployment insurance, all this stuff, right? So if you're running your shop as a 1099, you can probably afford to pay more than somebody who has employees like me. right? Because I have a little bit higher overhead than you might. Good question, though. What's something else? 10 years now of running a shop. What's something else I've learned that might be helpful for you guys? I mean, managing money is like, it sounds like common sense, but in my experience, it does not get easier to manage money as you start to make more. In fact, I think it gets a lot harder because the more money you make, the more shit you can buy. So you can actually get yourself in trouble a lot faster. So the ability to manage money, or the lack of ability to manage money, has almost put me out of business a few times. I think I'm a lot better at it now. But man, yeah, it does not get easier when you make more money. You need more discipline. It gets harder. You have to say no a lot more, right? Because your barbers might think you're just made of money too, and it's just like, no, we're not. We don't get to keep all this. You know, like a lot of barbers or just people in general, like clients too, just don't understand the concept of like overhead. It's like, we made $1 million. that's not that's not profit. That's just like what came in. That's not even. There's all these expenses that came out. It's like we'd be lucky if we had to get to keep some of that after everything is paid. But managing money has been absolutely it's an ongoing skill that you have to learn too, because we're at 7 figures now in the revenue. Um, once we get to 8, I mean, it's going to be even harder. Once we get to 9, it's going to be way harder. Right? We're going to have so many options, to things that we could do, and it's just going to be take more discipline to say no. We're not doing that. What side business do you do? I don't have a side business. All I do is barbering. That's it. I'm not a big fan of side businesses. I mean, I have the Skool thing, but that's also related to barbering. I don't make any money on that. People can join my community for free. They can access all my courses for free. If they don't want to like wait, they can pay. But everything in my community is free. Like I don't do this for money. So I don't have a side business. I'm not a big believer in side businesses. I think that I mean, you got to do what you got to do if you're first getting started, you know? Like if you're just starting out as a barbershop owner or a barber, I think you do what it takes, to feed yourself, to feed your family, and to keep the business open. But I'm not a fan of side businesses in general because I think that the biggest asset that you have as a barbershop owner is focus. You're not going to beat me when all I care about is my barbershop and making it grow. If you're working on 3 other businesses, you know, like your focus is divided. So I'm not a fan of people having side businesses. I think those people are really easy to beat. Like, go ahead. If you were my competition, if you if you're my competition, I encourage you to have a side business. I think it's a great idea. While I'm going to be over here focusing on the thing that's making me money, and you go do your side business, right? And so we'll see who wins at the end of the day. So I don't think that people should have side businesses if you're making enough from barbering. Like do more of the thing that's paying you, right? You're already starting to make some money now from barbering. Like, okay, do more of it. Why would you go do something else? But that's just my opinion, like do whatever you want. I don't have anything on the side, you know. I have investments. Yeah, I own real estate. The business is but that's like, I don't like the saying passive, right? But it doesn't take me a lot of time at all. I mean, I have a property manager. but I don't. That my thing is the business, right? All I do is I have the real estate, I have my 401k, and I have the shop. It takes me about an hour or a month, and that's usually just responding to an email, and that's being generous, an hour. To deal with the real estate stuff, all my time, all month, all the rest of my time is on the shop, and I don't even look at my 401k. Um, I like the saying that Warren Buffett had, which is diversification is protection against ignorance. One of the greatest investors of our time said that. So if you're really good at something, then go all in. That's how I interpret that. So I'm all in right now. Maybe later on, I might diversify, you know, but right now, why? You know, everybody's trying to get rich quick now, man. It's just like I'd rather get rich for sure. It's what's the hurry, you know? Like I'm 36 right now. I got 30 more years, you know? 30 more years. Every problem I've had in my life has usually come from rushing. So I'm just trying to learn the discipline of saying no and slowing down. All right, that doesn't mean I'm not trying to grow the shop as fast as humanly possible, but all this other stuff can wait, you know? It's just a distraction. It's like Hormozy says, the woman in the red dress, because there's another thing with like I was saying earlier about financial management, how it gets harder. Like you get more opportunities as you grow, as your income grows, as your business grows. I get emails every day, multiple times a day, with opportunities. This place opened up here. This shop's going out of business. Do you want to buy it? Just like, it's hard. It's hard to say no. But it's like saying no to that stuff is like saying yes to the thing that matters. If you want to look at it that way. So you want to say yes to the stuff that matters, no to everything else. I'm an all in guy though. Like some people might give you different advice. Um, I'm gonna tell you go all in because that's what I did. I didn't have a backup plan when I opened my shop. I, it got to the point in the early days where because I had just bought a house right before I opened my shop, and it got to the point where I was like, if I have to choose between paying my mortgage and paying the rent for the shop, then I'm going to pay the rent for the shop and let the house go into foreclosure, and I'll just sleep in the shop, right? But if I don't pay the rent for the shop, then I still lose the house, right? Because that's the thing that's generating all the income. So that's just my mindset. Like I'm all in whenever I do something. Like there is no backup plan. There was no backup plan for me. Failure was not an option, and still isn't. Like we're either gonna grow this thing or we're gonna go out of business trying. There is no other option. Staying the same and shrinking are not options for me. We're growing. So in 10 years, you'll see. I'm either going to be out of business or we're going to be 10 times bigger than we are now. But I'm not doing anything else besides this. So I'm a fan of going all in, if you can't tell. I would say that another lesson I learned in the last 10 years would be hiring, like I mentioned earlier. That's such a huge unlock, but marketing as well. Honestly, though, I think we've done like 80% of the work to the point where we could probably turn off all of our ads and probably still get the same amount of clients coming in every month. And I know this because I've just done this. Like 2 months ago, I cut our budget more than in half and has barely affected the amount of clients we see. But it took, 10 years to get to this point where we have thousands of reviews on Google. We have thousands of clients. Um, it, we're popping up at the top on Google and AI when people are searching on AI tools now. So it's like at a point now where it's almost like we don't have to market, or at least not as much. But I had to do a lot of marketing prior to getting to this point. So, but it's cool now. I have the skill now, right? So like when we go to open our next location, I'm not just going to count on the fact that we have a great reputation to ensure that that location stays busy. Like I'm going to turn up all the marketing, right? Because we already have it ready to go, and you just got to put more budget into it and dial it up. But as of right now, I would say we're in a position where we're just lucky, or I don't know, we've earned it. However you want to think about it, maybe a little bit of both. Where we're not dependent on marketing anymore. We've got a good thing going. I'm getting something like 300 new clients a month on autopilot now. And it doesn't really matter how much we spend on ads at this point. Probably could spend zero and get just about the same amount of clients every month. But it took 10 years of work to get here. So if that's not you, if you're just getting started, then you absolutely need to learn the skill of marketing. 100%. You need to make it happen faster, right? Because you don't have the wind at your back. You don't have the 10 years of reputation behind you like I do. So everything is a lot easier for me now. And it's going to probably continue to get easier as our reputation continues to improve, as we get hundreds and hundreds of more reviews over the next few years. It's going to be tougher and tougher to compete with us because, I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel like we're just getting started. But if you're just getting started, then you have to make up for the fact that you don't have a reputation with a ton of marketing. And you just got to do a lot of it. I have a course in my community that shows you how to run ads. You don't have to run ads. There's another one that talks about how to DM people on Instagram. That's free. It just takes a lot of work. But if you're not fully booked all day, every day, then the only thing that I would be thinking about when you're in between clients is how do I get people in my chair? And then, like we were talking about earlier, how do I get them to spend more? How do I get them to come back more frequently, spend more while they're here, and then ultimately retain them so that they turn into long-term customers? And I was just telling I was just telling one of my team members earlier this, but sometimes in our shop we have different barbers at all different experience levels, and their performance is at different levels, right? So we have some barbers that are trying to actively work on improving their retention right now. And it's tough when sometimes training new barbers as a barber that's a little further along, because I can be like super lazy right now and still get good results because I already did the work. Yeah. So when I go to check somebody out, I can just be like, so you want to set up your next one? Rebook them? And they'll be like, yeah, let's do it. But what that barber who's watching me did not see is that I already trained that client years ago that if you don't rebook your next appointment before you leave, that you're not going to be able to find a spot if you wait till the last minute. So that's I think that's the hard part, is when you're training new barbers, if that's the strategy that you want to go with, is you have to train them to do what you did to get to where you are. Because sometimes, it happens to me too. You just kind of get lazy, and because you've just been so spoiled because you did all the hard work already. You're not spoiled, but you just, a lot of these things, once you do it long enough, you don't have to try so hard anymore. And it's just like, so when you're training new barbers, just keep in mind you want to train them to do it how you did it to get to where you are, not what you're doing right now, because it's easier for you now. You want to put yourself back in their shoes when that used to be you, when you were doing one haircut a day. Like, what did you do to get to where you are? And then that's what you train them to do, right? And tell them that too. Like, don't copy what we do now, right? Don't copy what the best barbers do now. Copy what they did to get here, right? Because at a certain point it goes from growing to maintaining. So a lot of our most busy barbers right now are just like trying to maintain. Right? You don't want to copy somebody as a new barber. You don't want to copy somebody who's just maintaining. You want to copy what they did to get there. That makes sense. We have a protocol. It includes service, consulting, cutting, rebooking, and asking for a review. There you go. That's perfect. Yeah. What do we call it? We call it the 3 R's. Is rebook, or review the service, rebook, and recommend retail. So every time we try to do with every checkout. The barbers that are consistent with that are better at rebooking. They're better at retail sales. And the review is just to make sure you're charging the client for what they actually got, right? So if they took something off, you want to make sure you take that off. If they added something on, you want to make sure it's added. Yeah, it's great to have a system, right? That we came up, so we just like you guys came up with your protocol, we just kind of came up with this. And that's the cool thing about, once a few barbers have kind of figured it out, then that just becomes training. That just becomes the standard operating procedure, that when you hire a new barber on, it's like it's going to be so much easier for them because they don't have to figure it out. It's just like, we already have the playbook, just follow it. So the problem with sometimes with barbers is they try to get creative, and it's like, it doesn't have to be interesting. It's like, we've already done the work. We've been doing this 10 years. We've figured out exactly what to do to get people to come back. All you got to do is follow the system. Sometimes barbers try to come up with excuses of why this doesn't work, why that doesn't work. And it's like, well, it worked for us. Oh, we've been going 38 minutes already. Wow. That's crazy. Time flies. Well, I think this is the last Q&A for this month. Let me see. Are we going to be in December next week? Yep. Thanksgiving in a few days. Nice. All right. All right, guys. After a while, the clients know, and it's like, let's make an appointment. Yeah, so that's the thing. This will be where I think a good place to end it. But like, if everybody's doing the same thing, they're saying the same things when the client gets greeted, when the phone gets answered, and when the client gets checked out, then it doesn't feel salesy anymore. It's just like, oh, every time I come here, they're going to ask me if I want to set up their next appointment. They're going to see if I need to restock my products, and I'm good. It's just like, when only one person does it, then all of a sudden that client feels like they're trying to sell me something. So one of the hardest parts about being a barbershop owner is just getting people to become okay with saying the same damn thing 20 times a day. Right? It just, because that's where all the results come from, is from being consistent. You don't even have to be that good. You don't have to be that good at rebooking. You don't have to be that good at selling products. All you got to do is focus on, say it every time. Every time you check somebody out. every time you interact with a client. Say the same thing. After a while, you're going to get so numb to it that it's not going to bother you anymore. Trust me. I do it every time. That's why if we get replaced with robots, that's going to be why. It's because y'all don't want to say the same things every time. And the robots are going to be like, I don't care. I'll do it. I'll say it every time. So hopefully that doesn't happen, right? I'll be the first barbershop, though, to have a robot, but just for cleaning and stuff. I have no intention of hiring robot barbers. I think you'll see it in our lifetime, though. We'll see. Maybe not. I don't know. I hope that doesn't happen, because then it's like, what's left? What's left for all of us to do? Anyways, that's where I'm going to end it today, guys. I'll see you guys next week, the Monday the 1st. Same time. I'll see you then. Happy Thanksgiving.